Hey, welcome everyone. This is the very first World Hemp Alliance podcast. We got Scotty Soltronic here from Jenkstars and Building Man Festival. That's going to be going on May 2nd to the 8th. We also have Stephen Clarke with Growing from Lem and Heaven Grown, master earth builder, hemp builder, dome builder, and friend out of Mexico. We got Thatcher, founder of Eat More Hemp and Biota.eco. I call him the Hemp Encyclopedia. Both Hemp and Thatcher are going to be coming through to Utah and leading the hemp workshop this week. And yeah, we're going to be talking about the Hemp Dome at the Building Man Festival. We're looking to build a complete hemp dome. It's kind of a crazy idea, but if we do it, it'll be a pretty monumental house. So thank you so much, Scotty, for inviting us to experiment with this dome out there and build something that potentially could help house the world. So with that being said, Scotty, I really would appreciate you telling a little bit of your story. We met last winter in Utah, and you told me about Building Man. I was just like, this is awesome. I've wanted a Building Man forever, and you've been doing it now for 13 years, I believe, out on your ranch at the Jenkstars Ranch in Greenville, right?
GreenRiver, yeah.
GreenRiver.
Yeah. So would you introduce yourself and
Okay, yeah.
forgot
Sorry
to
for
introduce
the
yourself.
listeners. My name's Stephen Cutter. I'm one of the founders of World Hemp Alliance. If I'm not talking about hemp or I'm normally not talking. So I'm just here to help bring this plant to the people. And we have a great group with Thatcher and Stephen and many others that are all dedicated for their life to help with this plant and help heal the planet. But yeah, thanks for that, Scotty. Appreciate my intro. But yeah, tell us a little bit, Scotty, how you got started with Building Man. I know you've been in the Burning Man scene and been an artist for a long time, and you get into all different types of regenerative things yourself. You do composters, and we talked for like 6 hours that one night until 3 in the morning about all regenerative ideas. So Scotty's also a thought leader in regenerative practices, and so yeah, tell us a little bit how you got started with expansion and Building Man.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, I'm an artist, a full-time artist. I quit my job 20 years ago. I was working for a tech company in San Francisco. Went to Burning Man several times. Had my mind blown, as you do when you go there and see all the amazing art and the cool community and the people and the way that people are living freely. It was an instant yes for me. I quit my job, just went full on into art as an artist. And somewhere along the way, I've got the feeling that it was almost the coolest party. It was like Burning Man was the coolest party, but I started to feel a sense of urgency. Like we needed to really start thinking about some of the big problems that we're faced with. And in 2006, I went to Burning Man, and they burned this giant sculpture that I thought for sure they were not going to burn. I had this, like, for some reason, I had it in my head that they were going to take this sculpture down and make chicken coops out of it. Now, I don't know how I got this in my head, but I just saw this like scenario where they were not going to burn like 4 semi truckloads of 2x4s, that they were going to take it down and they were going to build low income housing or chicken coops, or they were going to do something with it. And they were going to show, like, this is what we need to be doing with these resources. Anyway, as it burned, and I sat there sobbing on my girlfriend's shoulders about I just felt lost. I felt like it was just a huge waste. And I thought I had found my path, and I thought all of a sudden everything was going to be easy and people were going to think stuff out for me, and I could just do this thing and not be a part of this other big thing that I already know is broken, right? The society and the city, the general population live in these cities that are broken, and we can get into that. But so I came home and I just was really lost for a while. And the following year, I took an installation to Burning Man called the Solar Saucer, and I was part of a really, I guess, at the time. It was like a really important for me camp, and I participated in this camp that was called Entheon Village, and it was people like Alex Gray and Andrew Jones, and there was just a bunch of really influential artists and thinkers and people, and I met all these people at being part of this camp. And part of that was I built the solar array for the camp, and I built it in the form of a crash landed flying saucer, of course. And I took it to Burning Man, and I powered our camp with this crash landed flying saucer. And that was really just kind of I don't know, I just thought that would be a cool way for our solar array to look. And I took it there, and while I was at Burning Man, I met all of these really high-end engineers and sustainability people because I had this crash landed flying saucer. It just opened doors for me. And people who had more knowledge than me came over and showed me more things about it and different ways to do it. And someone else came over and invited me to their party after the burn and asked me if I would come and play music at it. And I said yes. So I went there. And then this guy at that party asked me if I wanted to go to South by Southwest. And I said yes. And it was like that for 10 years. Every party that I went to, someone at the party asked me if I wanted to go to another party. And I literally went to probably 250 parties back to back to back. All summer long, I went to parties. And then for 10 years, I woke up and I was like, wow. I went to all these sustainability festivals and all these crazy events. And I don't know, somewhere along the way, somewhere in there, I just never found the event that I wanted to go to. It just wasn't quite the thing. And I wasn't really ever seeing anyone really doing it. Not to say that no one's not trying and they're not really doing it, but these big festivals, it was all just fluff. It was a lot of greenwashing and it was a lot of fluff. They weren't really doing it. They would have a solar trailer that was powering some bullshit off to the side, but they still had like a massive pile of garbage, and it just wasn't real. And the people that were really doing it were doing it in pockets and really cool permaculture farms or eco villages. And there was like one or two people that were really like trying to do that thing. And I felt like we could do something better. And that was the birth of Building Man,
Wow.
which was kind of, it's kind of the opposite of Burning Man. We don't burn anything. We bought a piece of property out in the middle of nowhere, so we own the property. And we've been building this space over the last, really, I went down there in 2005 and saw this place. I bought the property in 2009. So Building Man kind of sprouted out of, I mean, I guess you could say the first Building Man was in 2005, but it was just a small group of us kind of visualizing this thing. This will be my 23rd permitted event down there. I just came from the health department. I'm getting the permit right now. I'm in Moab right now getting the permit. This will be the 13th Building Man permit. So 13 seasons, but we didn't have a couple because of COVID. And anyway, so the idea is we do the whole thing on solar power. We don't use porta potties. We built our own composting toilets, which have now sprouted out and gone out into the wild here in the U.S. They're all over the place. We call it the composter. I'm building one down here in Moab right now for the Canyonlands Field Institute in conjunction with the health inspector here. He loves it. He's a cool guy. We just went and rode electric motorcycles together. And then I just went and had coffee with the ladies from the county. So I'm working really hard to connect dots here and do it in a proper way so that we can continue to have this sort of thing in the future, because I think it's really important. So this hemp workshop is an extension of that. I told the building inspector about it, and he's really excited about this thing. He wants to see this thing happen. He wants to see what is the outcome of this. And as I mentioned to you guys before, we have the community rebuilds program here in Moab, and some of their volunteers or their interns. I think I've got 3 of their interns now coming to help us. If they can take this technology back to the community rebuilds, the community rebuilds has done probably the most work in Utah as far as alternative building styles go, sustainable building styles. So that's straw bale, cob, and these types of things. And they have buy-in from the building inspector on full-blown houses. So getting them out, getting their feet wet with hempcrete is going to be really important and really awesome, so that our next structure that we want to build, we'll bring the building inspector in, we'll get a permit, and we'll do a fully permitted thing. But I want to do this one, which will be a smaller structure, so that we can kind of practice and figure this thing out. Because as Stephen said, we're trying to build something that's never been done, or I've never seen it, a completely hemp dome made from hemp and covered with hemp and finished with hemp and tied with hemp. I haven't seen it. So anyway, that's kind of the history of Building Man and the space and what we're trying to do. It's a tight-knit community, but we're really trying to push the limits of what can be done and prove that things can be done differently, so that we could then take these things into the real world and really try it. The Jenkstar is out in the middle of nowhere. It's a 40-acre piece of property in the middle of nowhere, where the health inspector specifically is like, this is great, because you guys can practice with these toilets and not hurt anything. There's nothing out there that we can hurt. The groundwater, the river, there's nothing out there that we can destroy with our little process. So it's a good proving ground to do something like this.
That's really great that you got the both the restore and the building inspectors on board. And Hemp is paid his time. And thanks for sharing the story and how you got that started. So you literally went to hundreds of festivals and found out which was the best ones. And you were doing research, right? So when I have fun and I'm learning something, I call it research.
Yeah, I did quite a bit of research and development on what we wanted to be doing there. So Building Man is probably going to be in the 500 to, I think we'll probably have about 500 people, 500 to 700 people. And I kind of want to keep it at that level forever.
Nice.
There's something magical that happens with those numbers. You start to get above those numbers and weird things happen to people.
Yeah.
Theft starts to happen. And people don't know each other. Everyone kind of knows each other at this festival. And there's a lot of opportunity to meet and go up and see the same people over and over.
I appreciate this guy too. I met a couple other people that are friends of mine, and they knew of you and your work, and it's more like a family setting and more close. And I got on the way back from meeting Scotty from Salt Lake. Me and my fiance, we drove through the Jenkstar, and it was really great to see the place and it's like a playground for adults is what Scotty's built, in the middle of nowhere. It's a real trip. Scotty, you've done a lot of great work there. Well, great. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the actual hemp dome that we're going to be building, and I'm going to introduce Stephen a little bit more to talk about himself for a minute or two and some of his background. So I met Stephen about a year ago in Mexico through Rick Trojan, actually. He said you should connect with this guy, and we did a little event down there in Tulum. We brought Dan Hara down, Jack Hara's son. Stephen put out a hempcrete workshop and did some. We tried to do a little TV show. It didn't. The film didn't work out so well, but it was a lot of fun. And Stephen's. I keep telling him I'm trying to. One day I'll be as cool as Stephen. One day. But Stephen, if you could talk a little bit about your building experience. You've been doing this stuff for over a decade now. So just talk a little bit about how you got into building with the earth and your passion behind growing for them. It's really an amazing movement, growing for them. His goal is to teach people how to grow their own house. It's a nonprofit, and just a great guy doing great work. So just share a little bit about how you got into this, Stephen, and some of the practices.
Yeah, man. Well, I guess our background comes from renewable systems engineers. So we used to be, we still do a lot of solar work and solar thermal. And we entered this competition called the Solar Decathlon, that you have to power a house completely out with solar, but you have to use the local building materials. Oh man, we got whooped, man. I think we ended up dead last, but so it's just like, well, how come? We're using the same technology as everybody else. Why is basically right? Why didn't we get a good result? And we start analyzing the building materials that Mexico has, and they're just shit, man. They're terrible. Yes, they'll provide a house. Yes, they'll make a, like we call it, like a box of shoes that you can live in, but they're not thermal. They don't resist earthquakes. Unfortunately, earthquakes don't kill people. It's the tons of concrete that we badly specify on top of our heads. So we started analyzing all these materials. What can we use as a substitute? And we came across hempcrete. Now, hempcrete is one of the most sustainable materials. Grows very quick, absorbs carbon. It's very noble in terms of building because you can make bricks. You can do shotcrete, well, like shotcrete, but like hempcrete that you spray on. You can even do how do you call it, like prefab, very technical pre-built systems. So as we start analyzing how easy it is to actually grow the plant, transform it into a brick, it just came across, why not just grow your house, you know? And it's the easiest thing, especially for a country like Mexico that unfortunately we have, out of 130 million people, 60 million people at least are living under the poverty line. And we're getting earthquake after earthquake. There's no rebuilding. Then if we're going to rebuild houses for everybody, it means we're going to have a massive carbon footprint. So that's how we came really across hemp being one of the most sustainable materials in terms of building. Now in Mexico, it's not, well, it wasn't legal back then. So we had to, it was like in a gray area. So that also pushed us to understand other materials. And that's when we learned about the greatness of building with earth or super adobe, the beauty about building with bamboo, because it's also a great compromise for the wood structures in hempcrete. So it's another material that you can grow. It takes only 4 years. Countries like Mexico and Colombia. In Colombia, they call it the wood of the poor. The Germans call it structure or vegetable steel. So it's like, come on, guys, let's like listen to the Germans for once. So if you actually combine these two techniques, it means not only can you grow your house, but through the use of bamboo, you can do beautiful architecture because there's I guess a lot of currents of architecture where structure it actually makes the beauty or makes the architecture of it. I'm sure just like Scotty has seen in all these festivals, a lot of these structures are built very quick with, I guess, not the most enhanced or not the best of building tools, but you can make some beautiful things. So sometimes it's a shame to see them. Like I understand the whole purpose of burning the man and defeating all that, but if we found a better way of living, if we found a better way of communion, why not maintain these structures and build upon them? Build better things like the composting toilets. So this whole idea now that we can actually build something completely out of the plant, it's exactly that. You could literally grow your house because from the same plant, you'll make the rope on which to tie it with, you'll make the herd on which to tie it with, you'll use the structure from which is going to hold everything. I guess the only element that is not pertaining to the hemp would be the lime, but lime is one of the most abundant materials on Earth. And if we actually date back buildings, the pyramids in most parts of the world, the Great China Wall, basically all these great monuments that were built at some point in history, most of them we can trace back to having earth or lime minerals in them. So this is a way of bringing also all the elements together, because in order to make the lime work, you need to bring in the fire, and you already have the earth. Then we use the water, and you're also using the human energy to put it into all of this. So it's just very beautiful that you grow your house, man. So for many people that it's not an option to pay a mortgage, it's not an option to, it's maybe just unfathomable to buy a house. Just grow it, man. And you can grow a house with great quality, great architecture. And that's also part of this bringing everybody together, because everybody has different ideas on how to lift a structure. So yes, we have certain rules that we don't break, that we don't go more than the other. But at the end, if we can start getting better inspiration on how to do newer structures, sturdier structures, and I guess experiment at all these things, we're never really going to find out how far we can push the hemp. So I think this is one of the best things that can happen, that somebody has the vision to actually set up places like Scotty where You can come and do experimental building. You can collaborate with other people. And building is not just building. It really comes to a certain, how would you call it, synchronization, even like a dance, you know. The more you collaborate with people, because building, if you're not careful, can even be dangerous. There's tools, there's accidents, and most of these accidents happen because there's no synchronization in the team. So by meeting people from complete different cultures, from complete different backgrounds, to be in a setting where there's nothing else except either we collaborate or basically nothing's going to happen, it brings out real nice characters in people. It brings out collaboration. There's the part of the food, there's the part of the toilets, there's the part of the waste. So it teaches you how to minimize, it teaches you to be more resilient. Also building out there in the sun with the strong winds, you know, it's part of the experience, but it actually shows you that we're very capable of collaborating with many people. We're very capable of doing things in another way. So if we can pass on these experiences and inspire people to grow their house, may it be out of hemp, may it be out of bamboo, may it be out of coconut, may it be even out of earth, because even earth grows, use what you have available and basically build some badass things with it.
Amazing. And yeah, that's one of the things I always really appreciate about you too, Stephen, is that not just your attention to detail from all these ancient wisdoms, but also doing it in a holistic and communal fashion and really focusing on the people and how all this technology and teachings can help as many people as we can. So I'll have Thatcher say hello real quick, and then we'll go right into the Hemp Dome project. Thatcher and I have known each other for about a year. We actually met through that trip, Stephen, down in Tulum. The girl that was giving massages there, she said, "Do you know Thatcher?" And right away, Dan looked at me and he's like, "I know Thatcher." And then she gave me his number, and I called him. And then I was in Puerto Rico, and I said, "Thatcher, you want to come down to Puerto Rico?" And from that, he came down like a week and a half later, and then we went to Morocco, then we went to Dubai, then we went to France, and now he's stuck with me. But no, Thatcher is seriously, he's been in the hemp space for about over 20 years now. He's got his own hemp farm in Vermont, where he grows all of his own products there, really holistically. I think he did his first hempcrete workshop in 2014 with John Patterson. But go ahead and say hello, Thatcher, and you know, share some of your passion for the plant.
Yeah, cool. Thank you guys so much. I'm actually really excited to be part of this, and I'm honored, and I can't wait to get out there and get hands on and see Jenkstars Ranch and you know, work with you guys on this. It's gonna be a blast, and you know, it really is an opportunity to set an example and help start getting things going in a different direction with our infrastructure. It's been a lifelong goal of mine to help you know, city planners and designers, architects, engineers to see things differently. In fact, a little funny story. When I was in high school, I used to do some child sitting, babysitting, because I had 3 older sisters, and I would kind of just take over their you know, their clients as they got older. And I used to babysit for this young gentleman, little boy, Alex Escher, and his father, Bob Escher, is today the founder of the U.S. Hemp Building Association. But back in the day, I was reading Dan Hare's father's book, Jack Hare's Emperor Wears No Clothes, and I was telling Bob Escher, the architect, "Hey, you know, Bob, you should read about hemp. It's really cool." You know, I was telling everyone as soon as I was reading this book. I was like 16 years old. I'm like telling everyone they got to read this book. You know, it's going to change the world. And he just kind of look at me and be like, "Yeah, sure, kid, go smoke another one." And now fast forward, and he's the director and founder of the U.S. Hemp Building Association. So just kind of ironic. I don't know if he remembers me trying to sell him on hemp 24 years ago, but yeah, that first hempcrete workshop I did back in 2014, we made little hempcrete bricks, and I kind of carried that all around the world with me. I brought it to Ecuador, I brought it to Berlin, and I would just set it places and take photos of it like it was like a Beanie Baby or something. And I was just like, you know, hempcrete at the Hoover Dam, hempcrete in Moab, hempcrete in just to get the word out there. And I think that one ended up disintegrating because it was, you know, it was just a little quick test hempcrete brick that we made. But that's one thing actually we'll be doing, and everyone who comes to the workshop will be able to leave with their little brick. And it's a good way to help get the word out there and keep spreading the knowledge of how we can actually build better buildings with better building materials that are better for the environment. And can't wait to do it for the rest of my life. I actually plan to build 20 or so hempcrete tiny home cabins here on my farm so that we can have accommodations and do similar things. Growing up here in Vermont, I used to go to, the hippie music festivals and things. And when I was in my early 20s, I started a biofuels company called To Renew, and I sponsored actually the Solar Fest, which was may have been one of the first solar powered music festivals in the country. They started way back in the early 90s. Yeah, in the early 2000s, we used to run a biodiesel generator late at night after we ran out of solar power just to keep the party going. And that was my role. I provided the biodiesel so we could keep the party going after the batteries ran out. But yeah,
Nice.
really looking forward to meeting everyone out here at the Jenkstars Ranch and having a blast.
No, thanks for sharing that, Thatcher. So I can contest that Thatcher, he himself is probably personally told over 40 or 50,000 people about hemp on this planet, like one-on-one conversation. Right around 40,000 people about hemp. It's quite substantial. Well, great. So we'll get right into the building project now. So, like I said, I met Scotty back this winter, and he told me about Building Man. I told him about hemp, and I said, let's do a hemp dome. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, no, I don't know. Let's do a hemp dome. And I had the idea to use the hemp stalks as the structure for the dome, and then use the hemp herd as the filler, and we can make like a nest with the thing. And I didn't even know if it could be done at that point, Scotty. I was just a harebrained idea. But I talked to one of our scientist friends, Carl Maltel, who's also Stephen's good friends with as well. And I said, would this work? And he said, it could work. It won't like rot. The lime will keep it, from rotting. And then I called Stephen. I said, Stephen, would this work? He's like, I don't know. No one was crazy enough to try this yet. So that's kind of how we came to be. But it seems pretty straightforward. We're going to do, first we're digging a trench around the outside. It's called, what kind of a wall is that called again, Scotty? Did you call it an urbanite wall?
Or a cyclopean foundation, is that?
Yeah, well, we're going to put in like a footing. I guess you would call it a footing, or you could consider it a foundation. We're not pouring any sort of a foundation, but we're going to be digging a trench and filling it full of like 1 to 2 to 3 inch rocks and gravel to give the dome a sturdy place to sit on, and also to allow drainage.
Nice. So yeah, that's the start of the project, and then I'll have Stephen talk about some of the. If you're not talking, Scotty, if you can mute, there's some wind in the background. But yeah, so Stephen, if you want to talk about the dome structure, we're doing a 3V reciprocal dome. It sounds like we decided on our final design, and tell the people a little bit about how they can build these domes and the practice that we're going to be going through.
Yeah, well, the frame that we're choosing is called a reciprocal frame. They fall under the category of self-supporting frames. So this allows us to create like a dome, similar to a geodesic dome, but without having, I guess the issue that we had is how do we resolve the problem of the connectors? Standard domes, they're either hubless domes, but that means that you need to put wood on wood and it's a special cut, or you need to use a metallic or some other kind of connector. So we chose the reciprocal frame because in essence, it's weaved into each other. The pieces are the same and they just repeat over the whole frame. There's many, many, many different variations. You can look them up on the internet, different styles of it. We chose this one in particular in order so that we can call it a main frame, which will be mainly triangles and hexagons once it finishes. And in between those gaps, so that the hempcrete can sit upon, we're going to weave in smaller stalks so that we have I guess, a sitting structure. So that's in essence, the main frame. All of it will be tied up. You can resolve it in different other ways, but this way allows us to use hemp rope, and then the hempcrete will sit on top, I guess, the weave structure. Now, that's why it's very important to have a foundation where it can sit on. That's why Scotty's doing the trench with the stones. And we're trying to plan to be a foot off the ground in order to prevent from snow, water, and these kind of things. Because even though hempcrete is a great material for insulation and it can be submerged in water, but ideally we don't want it to be in contact with the water. It can still have a capillary effect from grabbing humidity from the floor and wicking it up through the walls. So by adding this stone plinth, we have a thermal separation from materials. Now we'll connect on top of that structure, and then from there, it's a very easy build. You just basically do all the triangles individually, and just as like you would do a geodesic dome, you start going in circle, finish the circle, then go one circle above until you finish the dome. When you connect the whole dome, the dome has enough structure to hold enough, I guess a certain amount of weight. How much? That's what we're going to find out.
So, yeah, thanks for sharing that. And so we're, just to be clear on that, everyone, we're using 1 meter in length hemp stalks, and you go about 2/3 into the stalk and where you tie the triangles. So you don't tie it off at the very tips. You tie it off about 2/3 in the triangles together. Stephen was saying so. You're not actually using the full length of the weight of it. You're using about 2/3 of it. And then the goal from there is to build a 20-foot dome, and we'll fill it in with the hempcrete. And this, to my knowledge, will be one of the first of its kind, a complete hemp dome. We're going to use hemp rope to do the ties as well, and then any other materials that we need on the property. Like Scotty's going to pick the rocks down from the streams to use for the foundation. We're going to use some of the sand on the property to make a coating for the finish. So you'll get a real education by coming here, not just how to work with hempcrete and also with domes, but also you'll get a handful of other earth building practices, how to make adobes, how to really do the finishes, make some earthcretes, and even how to do the hempcrete. So you'll get a full demonstration on how to do some of this stuff. Stephen's been working for over 10 years giving courses on this now and building with this.
Approximately 10 years. We've developed our own binders. We've done many mixtures, so we can show people how to do, if they're interested in to do, I guess, stronger mixes for what would be slabs. You can do for wall systems, floor systems. There's finishes. It's a whole myriad, I guess. The scope of this project is to show people that you can actually build your own home from your own grow. And then we can also help, I guess, start the path onto the finishes, because there's so many materials that you can integrate with the hemp. There's the sands, the marbles, the limes, and really it's not just a proprietary mix, but it's, I guess, a compendium of information from humans have been building this way for over 10,000 years and making some of the most sturdy buildings. So it's just adding upon that, but in a more, I guess, romantic way that you can literally grow your own dome.
Beautiful. So that's kind of the overview of the project, and it starts May 2nd. May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, we're going to have the Hemp Dome intensive workshop, so you'll learn how to do all these things, and we'll get the majority of the Hemp Dome prepped and ready to go. And then the last 3 days, the 5th, 6th, and 7th, will be that's the right days, will be the Building Man Festival, and also we'll be finishing the dome. So anyone who's interested in coming just for the 3-day workshop, there's tickets available for that. That's only $200 for the 3 days. There's also for the full week long, it's $300 for both the festival and the Hemp Dome intensive workshop. Tickets are on Jenkstars.com. That's Jenkstars, JENKSTARS.com. And we hope to see you soon. If anyone else has anything else they'd like to share before we close it here, but I think we got most of the information in, and you got a good intro to the crazy men, and we're going to start a housing revolution.
Yeah, I'd like to just throw in there that this isn't going to be your average sustainability workshop event. We have 3 stages. We have a stage at the beach. There's it's a wild wonderland. I've definitely had, like the 60-something gray-haired couple roll in looking to learn some cool stuff, and then coming and finding me at 8 o'clock in the morning and just so upset that they couldn't sleep all night. So be prepared. Building Man is it's fun. It's wild. But it's also, it's family friendly. There's a bunch of kids running around, but don't come to this thinking you're going to your grandma's sustainability event.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out
Be
there.
prepared. Make sure you have all your food, all your water, all your tent. You're gonna need a tent. It's bring your own stuff. Same as Building Man. Be prepared. We'll have some.
Burning Man, you mean? Yeah.
Same
It's radical self-reliance. We don't provide water. We don't provide food. We don't have garbage cans. So pack it in, pack it out. Don't throw your cigarette butts around. It's a whole culture of take care of yourself. But this is some of the harshest environments known to man. You can get literally blown off the planet here. You never know. It could rain. There could be mud. There could be a flash flood. So come prepared, but you'll be fine. You'll be okay. It's gonna be all right.
No one's died yet at the Jenkstars, right?
No one has died yet at the Jenkstars.
man.
Good. So I think we'll end with that quote. So you guys are all you feel a little safe, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. I appreciate all your time, and thank you, Stephen, Scotty, and Thatcher. And we'll see you guys May 2nd. I still might be able to go. I just had a baby audience, Bodie, on Good Friday, but her parents might come in for a couple days, so I might be able to sneak away to the ranch, but no promises. But it's been a pleasure speaking with you guys today. You can find out more at jenkstars.com. And you also can look at our website, hempally.org. Again, this was a fun podcast, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay, see you guys.
Take it easy, guys. See you soon.
Thank you.